Hi guys, I am Steve, and in this video we're going to talk about flipping. What to flip, when to flip, and most importantly, how to time it perfectly. Let's get into it. Ooh, geez, shouldn't do that. Okay, so it's been a busy day on Top Shot, which is good. There's been some stuff happening, and there was a lot of lessons highlighted today that we can all learn together. Now, firstly, from the last video, I wanted to point out a comment from Stephen Gale. He pointed out that in the spreadsheet that we were talking about in the pre-order pack, there's a little arrow, and I completely missed it. I really should have had it in the video, that you can click on next to the moment that we were talking about. And even if it's a moment that we haven't had released yet and it's not even on the marketplace, you can click on that moment. It comes up with an error sometimes, but then it loads the moment and you can watch the new moments that are coming our way in the pre-order packs. So if you didn't watch that video, you might want to go back into it and what moments we're going to look out for. We're going to reference some of them here today. But if you want to look at the moments and see if they're valuable to you, you can go to that spreadsheet, click straight to them rather than searching for them, which is a bit of a pain, to be honest. Okay. Anyway, straight to the video. We had 3 challenges finished today, which was good because then we had 3 moments dump onto the marketplace. And what happened with them was very interesting. Again, the value and the challenge of these moments, the moments that you need for the challenge went off a cliff, and that's an issue I think Top Shot will need to address, but more on that later. I'm gonna lay down some ground rules for flipping, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. And maybe everyone is, but they're not doing it well. So we're gonna try and help you do flipping the right way. So I've laid down some ground rules. I'm gonna give you 4 simple rules to follow for flipping on Top Shot. Now, rule number 1 of flipping is leave emotion at the door. Fear and greed will end you in this flipping game. So leave emotion at the door. Flipping is for your head, not your heart. You can't just flip any moment you love. It's gotta have context. Let me explain. Rule number 2, identify the wave. What do I mean by that? So every moment when it comes out on the marketplace has a fluctuation, a wave before it finds itself. And I don't mean goes on a long trip, travels the earth and finds itself. I mean finds its fair market value. This is Mike Connolly's Seeing Stars challenge because it's a recent challenge and it entered the marketplace. This is its entire lifetime of transactions. So let's zoom in here so we can see it a bit better. And we're gonna go over here at the start where we can see its first day. And I'm gonna focus on the pinks because they really tell the story. Now it can go either way, but usually someone starts off the bidding or the price of the item first onto the marketplace, and then it just drops and gets undercut. And that is what we're gonna call the wave. We've got the low tide coming down here, followed by the high tide coming up here. The trick of flipping is identifying the wave while it's happening. Now, in the moment, you would usually do this via clicking the select and, not this one, by clicking the select and buy button and following the lowest ask as and when it's happening. Now, if we zoom in again, now the marketplace started over here at about $200, and then everyone else started diving in over here to see it drop all the way down to about $74 on his first day. Then what would have happened is you would start seeing the lowest ask start creeping up. If we're going from left to right of your screen, think of that as time, and the the height value would be the actual price. So as time goes on, you'll notice it's not going down anymore. It's hit a wall, it's stagnant, and the lowest ask is starting to creep back up. That's the time to buy. When you know you've hit the floor, and the only way is up. Then the wave keeps going up, and round numbers seem to be walls. So denominations of 5 or 10 or 50, something like that. Round numbers, I don't know why they do it. People should really use their odd numbers a lot more. Round numbers tend to be walls, and you can see thicker lines here and here and here and here, and they're round numbers. So here you've got a massive one at the $200 mark. It struggled to break through that, but eventually it did break through that and peaked in low serial numbers at about 240. And that was the time, if you were going to dump. So you don't have to dump your moments if you don't want to, but if you were planning on doing the reward and cashing in at its highest point, that was the time. So you might have even acquired it at 75 bucks, looking to get around $240. So if you did that, that's a pretty good day's work. But again, timing it is the hard part. Then what happened is you started seeing the low ask not getting any higher. And once it starts doing that consistently, and you're refreshing, you're opening that select and buy button and closing it, opening it and closing it, you're seeing it's kind of staying there. See, that's when you sort of realize it's hit a level, or that tide has reached its peak. And then when you start seeing it going the other way, so you don't have to time it perfectly at 240 here. You can time it at 219 and say, right, it was 240, now it's 219. I'm out, I'm still in the green. And then you can watch it hopefully go to a point where you wouldn't have made as much money to validate your decision. So identify the wave is a really key rule. Rule number 3, bet on what you can afford. So today we had the LeBron moment land on the marketplace after that challenge finished, and we had the Jokic moment land on the marketplace after that challenge finished. We also had Booker, but I'm going to talk about these two. So Jokic landed in the $200 range, $100 to $200. LeBron landed in the $800 to $1,100 range. Completely different price brackets for completely different people. Just because, I don't know, someone you know, other people you're seeing are going after LeBron, that doesn't mean you should go for LeBron because they might have a bigger dapper balance than you. Most likely they do if they're doing that. The goal of this is to work up to that point. So playing the Jokic game, or both, but playing the Jokic game makes a lot more sense for a lot more people to gain aDAPPERbility. Don't place a bet you can't live with. I don't want any of my viewers unable to cash checks or really regretting big decisions they shouldn't have made. Rule number 4, only flip moments that are or are going to get a pump. For example, do you remember the Cool Cats Challenge? And it was rumored for a long time there were going to be common players from cool countries, your Clint Capellas and your so-off, really cheap common moments. Some people were clever enough to buy them ahead of time, and then when the announcement was made, they got a pump, a price increase for their lowest ask. The same thing happens with moments. Now let's go through the 2 types of moments you should look out for. New moments and moments that have suddenly become relevant to an announcement or a challenge. And sometimes even, for example, when Anthony Edwards dropped 40 points and he was the 3rd youngest player ever to do so, that gave him a little bit of a pump. So don't follow the box scores thinking that everyone's going to get a pump. It doesn't always happen, but it did happen for that play. PJ Washington had a big night not long ago, and he had a bit of a pump from that as well. But quickly, it corrected. So they're not the ones I really want you to go after. Moments that are relevant towards an announcement, usually challenges, and new moments, especially new moments. And the good news is with the pre-order pack, we are getting 50 new moments. So if you want to know about them, watch my previous video on the pre-order packs. It's very comprehensive and covers pretty much everything that you should look out for, including rookies and new common moments. So let's look at Jokic. Jokic dropped today. Currently he's sitting at 189, and that's still the case. This is how he looked when he landed. He entered the market at around 200 and quickly dropped, and some lucky duck got this at $105. But the low ask was around there. It was around the 120s. It was really just pushing that 120 mark. And then you started to see the low ask go towards the $200 mark all the way over again. So it started, it had a low tide and then found a high tide and then found its medium, which is about $180. LeBron, he is hovering around $1,000 at the moment. I think he still might go up, to be honest, but anyway, there we go. He started at 1,300 and very quickly went straight down, and oh my goodness, some lucky duck got him for $799. I was close to that one. I say I was close. I clicked buy and I probably wasn't close. Anyway, and then he corrected. He hit the wall at 1,100, and since then he sort of hovered back down to what we see now at, not this one, around about $1,000. So again, he had a high tide, he had a low tide, and he leveled out to his fair market value. Now, I think there's still a bit of potential for this moment. It's very limited edition, limited mint. So, okay, I just remember one more thing. So I'm going vlog style for a minute. Don't always go for the very top one, the very top lowest ask. When there's a pump, transactions fail all the time. They just fail because 10, 20 people are going for the exact same moment at the same time. Pick one that's a little bit further down, fourth, fifth down. It's less competitive and you're more likely to get an actually successful transaction. Don't go for the lowest one. That LeBron 799 that I said I was close to, I was probably the 50th person to click buy now and get it. And that's why I didn't get it, because I went for the lowest. That 799 was too juicy and I went for it and I had no chance. You have to be super quick and lucky. So go for the fourth or fifth down. Don't go for the lowest ask. Pick one a couple down when there's a pump, and you should have a better chance of getting those ones. Now, we had a couple of challenges, as I said, and then the Christian Wood challenge got announced. So to our second half of which moments you should flip, there's new moments and then there's ones that just became relevant. So this challenge dropped on the website for Christian Wood, and then all of a sudden these moments, these metallic golds, have become relevant. I simply chose Mitchell Robertson because he was one of the cheapest to follow and scout in this challenge as he dropped and became relevant. Currently sitting at $309. All right, let's see what happened to him today. Let's expand this a bit. Okay, so not very many transactions, and then today he became relevant, and you can see it right here. I remember seeing him actually at 219 earlier today, and then an announcement was made and you can see it go up to 400. And I remember seeing it at 400 and thinking, wow, he went all the way to 400. But then it's harder to see because there's less actual transactions, but he went straight back down here to 250. And that was in the space of, less than an hour that happened. And he leveled out back again to his median, which was around the $300 mark. So that happens because he got a pump and he became relevant. And then all of a sudden, people sobered up basically. So let's look at otmnft.com, because this also tells an interesting story about the challenges. So active right now, we've got the metallic gold, which will cost you a cool 11 grand. I'm really skeptical about that. I'm not sure who's going for it. In fact, currently only 35 people have, and I think there were 35 people when the challenge was announced as well, because they must have had all the metallic golds anyway. So I'm not seeing much motivation going there, and here's why. So Cool Cats 3, it cost about $550 to complete, and then Jokic was worth $180. Currently, all those moments have been dumped, and their value that required Jokic are only worth $193 right now, and it's very hard to dump them in the dump. That means you've got a loss of $130. The Conley challenge, it cost me $300 to do it. Conley currently is worth $140. All those moments went from about $70 each to $5 each. So they're now worth like $30. Yep, there we go, $30. 300 turned into $35. For a Conley, that's worth $140, so you're looking at over $100 lost there as well. Seeing Stars, that cost people about $2,000 or $3,000 to complete, depending on when they actually did it. And I'm just loading this page now. Now they're worth a cool, very cool, $790. And yeah, just before the challenge finished, you were looking at $2,000 to get a $1,000 LeBron. But then you see what happens in the dump. And this is what we're talking about when things become irrelevant. You can lose money this way. There's the dump, and that's what these moments are all of a sudden worth now that they're not relevant anymore. So as soon as they lose their relevancy, they lose their value. And that's a real problem that I think Top Shot need to address, but we'll see how they tackle that in future. It can't be what Top Shot want, this huge cliff dump. But at the moment, that's what it is. I'm very skeptical on challenges and the future of them, because it's much more economical to buy LeBron, especially if you got him for $799, and hold that long-term value even if you're not flipping. because it's LeBron. It's like his own currency at the moment. For some, that's a $300 or a $1,300 loss, depending on when you completed the challenge, which is significant. So they are my 4 rules of flipping. Please be stringent with yourself. Don't be emotional. Identify the wave. Bet on what you can afford, and only flip moments that are or will get a pump. You can't just flip any old moment just because you have an attachment to them. They are my rules for flipping. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Please leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Maybe some of the flips that you've gone through lately, maybe some of the challenges that you're facing with flipping and getting your head around it. I'd love to answer your questions in the comments. Subscribe if you liked it, more videos to come, and make sure you check out the pre-order video because there's lots of new moments, again, 50 of them coming up, and we break them down in the last video. Thanks for watching. See ya.